Let me get my weather together, bro.
Today I'm out here with Billy. Billy, you wanted to share your story of recovery. What's the story you want to share with us?
Well, pretty much if I was to share with you everything, we would be stuck here for hours. So I just want to keep it real brief and let the ones that are struggling, that they're missing out on life right now, and life beyond their wildest dreams is on the other side of sobriety. And yeah.
How long were you addicted and what were you addicted to?
Pretty much from a 10-year span, I would call it the loquera. That's pretty much me doing everything between cocaine, drinking, pills. But my life really became unmanageable for like the past 6 years, where I was waking up dope sick, stuck on the streets. Every little money that I did have, it would go straight to the fentanyl, to the blues, like so they like to call it. And yeah, that was my reality. My story is no different than your average kid that you see here at QT on asking to wash people's windows or asking for money, or people that you hear about robbing and stealing from other people. Like I said, if I were to get into detail, we'd be here for hours, but I just want people to know that life beyond your wildest dreams is on the other side of sobriety. And so getting sober is one thing, staying sober is another thing. Getting sober, obviously you got to go through the withdrawals. That takes like 3 or 4 days. It's going to be the worst pain in your life. And staying sober, how I stayed sober is I just, started adding little value into my everyday lifestyle. That could have been something as simple as making my bed every morning, or just changing my way of thinking, sitting down, getting on my knees and praying to God, and reading a book or something. Just like adding little value. Those little, whatever, however you want to define adding value, you know what is good. Those little things add up, and the more they add up, it overweighs anything you ever did in the past. And me right now, I'm a little over a year sober, and I'm still around people that do pills. I mean, people come into the shop and smoke that, and I smell it, and I can never picture myself going back to that. But it humbled me a little bit, because growing up, I was that kid that had, I guess you could say, I had a strong head on my shoulders. I thought I had all the power in the world. I'd see people, I'd be on the city bus going to the boxing gym, and I'd talk to homeless people, and they would give me their advice on things, and in the back of my mind, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, dude, like that can never be me. Look at me and look at you. And now I understand how powerless we really are. But at the same time, even though we are powerless, you have every power to switch your life around. And with that, I give thanks to God.
How did you go through recovery? Was it a professional treatment or you did it on your own?
So this time that I got sober, I did it on my own. But I've been through trial and error. I've been through treatment facilities. I've been through detox facilities. And every time I just would end up relapsing. But don't get me wrong, there's people that do go through treatment and stayed sober to this day. You got AA meetings, NA meetings, where people fellowship and they talk about sobriety, and you got all walks of life. And me personally, that's not how I got sober, but I still like to go to those places just to interact with people, because as humans, you know, we're made to interact with other people, and why not make the best out of it? You know, I do it more for the fact because I can. I have freedom to, and that's another thing about sobriety. When you get sober, you're gonna experience a new level of freedom that you never even thought existed, and that's pretty much what I have to say about that. But yeah, I got clean on my own. There was this shot called the Vivitrol shot, and after my dad passed away, me and him were on the Loquera for a couple months, but he was locked up my whole life, and by the grace of God, I got the chance to be with him on his last days. And why I stay sober is because of me. But like if I'm at like a party or something, I stay sober because of him, and it's all dedicated to him, because he never turned his back on me when he had every right to. We were staying in motels, Motel 6s, and I'm not going to get into detail what we were doing, but part of my sobriety is dedicated to my pops. And so after he died, I was still using, still it was an everyday thing. I heard about this shot called the Vivitrol shot, and it's basically a shot where once it's injected in you, you can't even if you try to get high, it wouldn't work. So, but here's the catch: you got to be a week clean to get on the shot. So I set up an appointment with the doctor, because you know the Vivitrol does take access. So if you're trying to pay cash, it's $800, but it does take access. That's the simplest health insurance you could get, and that's what I had at the time. And I scheduled an appointment. They did a urine sample, but what they're testing for is regular opiates. See, fentanyl is a synthetic opiate. It doesn't show up on the regular drug test. But in my mind, I already knew that. But it was either put a bullet to my head or go through this damn precipitated withdrawal is what they call it. Because if you get the shot too soon, you go into precipitated withdrawals. You get very ill. And sure enough, I came up clean, and 20 minutes later, that's when it started. For 3 days, I was getting tortured in my own body. It was probably, I'd rather step into the ring with Mike Tyson in his prime than go through that shit. But when it started to wear off and I started to get my mind back, that's when I started, you know, changing my way of thinking.
What advice would you give young people out there that are recently trying this or want to start trying it? What would you tell them?
I mean, what advice? Basically, I'm not trying to be nobody's daddy, but if you want to try it, or if you're thinking about trying it, you're only selling yourself short, and we're only here for limited time. And my suggestion is, don't sell yourself short while you're here. You want to experience the gifts life has to offer, and doing that, you're not gonna experience the gifts. You're gonna put yourself through a living hell, bro, to where you're not even gonna want to be here. Granted, there are people out there that manage alcohol, even junk food. You know, there's junk food's an addiction. But where does that lead them? It leads to obesity. It leads to lack of energy. And that's pretty much what I have to say.
So now you're out here being a barber, you're doing a really good job, you got a lot of clients. Is that one way of you keeping yourself busy and focusing on your goals and future aspirations?
Okay, yeah. So, well, I've been a barber for pretty much just as long as I was an addict for. The only difference is now is I get to I get to level up in my profession now. As before, it's like I wasn't getting nowhere. I wasn't even working with a license at the time. I'd get fired from one shop, go to the other, get fired from that shop, go to another shop, taking money out the register, having it get deducted off my check, and that, and I could never get ahead in life, and it all ended up at the end of the day, I ended up hitting rock bottom every time. And now I get to progress in life, and barbering is my way of progressing. How other people progress, I mean, you got to figure that out yourself. If I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be out there working construction, trying to be an electrician, or pretty much, you know, you just add, it goes back to what I said, when you add value to yourself, you gotta figure out that definition for yourself. Even if you're on the streets, if you see a bunch of cigarette butts on the floor, pick them up, throw them away. You know, that makes you feel good. And it all comes back to you. Yeah, about cutting hair. Yeah, I love cutting hair. I do get to experience creativity while cutting hair, and that's something that makes me happy. And this is not the only thing I do. I wake up early. I like to go to the gym. I go to the boxing gym, and I like to draw, read. I like to go out and fellowship with different groups of people. AA and NAs are one of them, or just pretty much wherever I'm at. And that's another thing too, if getting suggestions from other people, and even if it's a suggestion that doesn't even relate to your situation, you with the creative mind can transform that suggestion into your life. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I hope somebody gets it. If anybody needs anybody to talk to, or just about anything, you could I'm right here on 75th Avenue in Thomas. You can add me on Instagram, Goodvato, GOODVATO. I'm an open book to everybody.
So Billy, thank you very much for your willingness to share your story. This is going to be seen by thousands of people, and I'm sure that somebody out there will look at your story and learn from it, and not try this at all to begin with. Or if they're living that lifestyle now, they'll decide that there is life with sobriety, and you're a source of inspiration, right? They can draw inspiration from the way you've lived and where you're at now, because you're choosing to be successful as opposed to throwing your life away. So thank you very much for talking and for sharing your contact information, so that people can reach out to you and talk, right? Give you words of encouragement to continue down your journey of sobriety. Or if they need help, right? They need words of encouragement. You know, they can reach out to you. So I'll stay updated with you, because this is the shop that I come get my haircut, right? So yeah, we'll be talking in the future. So for now, thank you very much. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.